I'm Gab. He's Jules. Blue skies over West London. Not so much for football reasons, more meteorological reasons. Jules, what a weekend. There's so many great goals, so much excitement. Jan Dielmande for Leipzig, the Klassiker in Germany, the Grand Derby, Lamine Yamal's hat trick, Manu Kone's pass. I am overwhelmed, and there's probably something I'm forgetting. But we're going to start with the Premier League. We're going to start in North London. Arsenal beating Chelsea 2-1. They remain 5 points clear. They've played an extra game over Manchester City. And of course, the head-to-head is coming up. It doesn't matter how you get the game done. As a neutral, this was not a fun watch, especially for a neutral like me, who does not like Royal Rumbles at every corner kick.
Yeah, it was a big old-school fight, really a massive battle physically, especially between two teams that are very, very good physically to start with, both of them. Who are very good on set pieces as well. And when there's not much between the two teams where the two tactics or the two game plans kind of cancel each other out, then I guess you can win it on a set piece. You can win it on small margins. We've repeated that so much this season, but that was the case of it. I like the game plan from Chelsea. I like what Rosinho tried to do and did. The fact that they outplayed in terms of passes, certainly, and possession, Arsenal at the Emirates is not an easy thing to do. And I know in the end of the day, they didn't win. But I much prefer that than what we saw in the second leg of the League Cup semi-final, for example, every single day, because I think there's a lot of things that worked really well from a Chelsea point of view. In the end, the character that Arsenal showed, the strength that they showed as well, and the pressure, because they had to respond to City, who won the day before, I think was really good as well.
You say it's not an easy thing to do. It's a lot easier when Arsenal basically decide at home that they're going to just rely on being tighter. They're not, maybe obviously Martin Odegaard unavailable, though the way he's played of late. But it seems to me like their game plan was like, all right, you have the ball. We're going to defend. We'll be comfortable. We'll hit you on the counter.
I think Chelsea made them play like that. It was never the game plan for Arsenal to leave the ball to Chelsea at the Emirates.
So they were just bad on the ball.
Then. Yeah.
Why?
Their pass accuracy is not very good for this game. I think Chelsea had a really good game plan.
I don't know. I see Eze shooting from the halfway line when I see like
a lob from a
searching
player.
balls.
Well,
I guess I was so put off by this game because I don't like all the grabbing and stuff on corners. And this is both teams. And look, I'm not blaming Rosinho Arteta in any way, shape, or form. You do what the referee allows. But at some point, this is not entertaining. I would go so far as say it's not really football when you have, for example, Declan Rice on Jarell Hato. Again, not Rice's fault. The referee allows this stuff.
Yeah.
But you have this guy in a bear hug. And on top of that, which is even more annoying, they realize it because they go and they check to see if the ball comes off his arm. Like, oh no, it couldn't be an intentional handball because he was having contact with the Chelsea player. He wasn't having contact. He was bear hugging him, which unless the laws of the game have changed, should be a foul if you choose to call them. And they're deciding, and look, they're being consistent on it, which I guess is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But it's garbage to watch. It really is garbage. And the same applies, of course, at the other end. Again, I'm not saying that Arsenal were being unfair here. It's just, they have to look at this. The highlights are all set pieces and
yeah. But I mean, on the Timber goal, for example, on all the corners or the wide free kicks, if it's just Chelsea won, the Arsenal players were just grabbing and everything. And the other way, the same way. So you give a penalty each time for each team. It's not even, because I think everybody does it. So, or you don't give it for anybody because everybody does it.
Right, which is you don't give it for everybody.
Yeah.
And by the way, I would say everybody does it in this game. So you want them to be consistent within the context of the game.
Yeah.
There's other teams, we've seen other games this weekend when people weren't defending like that and referees weren't letting things slide. So I don't know. I think at some point this is something you need to look at. It's not just the argument, oh, Arsenal are good at set pieces because they conceded on a set piece as well. I don't want to get started on Robert Sanchez, or Neto, frankly. But my concern, though, is I think Arsenal need to have another gear, the gear that we saw earlier in the season. And you're saying Chelsea didn't allow them to play that way. Fine. They're not playing Chelsea every week. Lucky for them.
Yeah.
You think they can step it up?
Yeah, I mean, we praised them against Spurs the week before for the way they play against a bad team. I get
that.
that.
A high bar.
No, but so a gear against who? What a gear for? Like, in what game? What context?
I would
They,
argue,
like you
look,
said, they won't play Chelsea.
No.
The Liverpool
No.
game at home was a 0-0 draw. The City game at home was a 1-1 draw. They were tight games. There was not much in the Arsenal Liverpool or the Arsenal City game either.
I think when I look back over the recent results, except for the Brentford game, I think this was the most disappointing performance, and it worked. And what that says about Arsenal and their resilience could be pretty important. All right, Jules, let's get into this a little more. I don't want to keep talking about the set pieces or about the grabbing and fouling.
But it's also the two best teams not just in the country, probably amongst, even in the big five leagues. They are the best or not far from the best. Actually, Chelsea haven't scored much less goals on set pieces than Arsenal this season. So in a way...
Okay, but I'm not saying set pieces are bad.
No, but it's a huge strength for both of them. So it's a bit normal in a way that a game like this, with so much at stake. So this is not like a cup game or second leg of you've had a first leg with the result, etc. I mean, everybody who thought this was going to be a sexy, super open, super entertaining game. Well, I mean, come on, you don't watch those teams then if you think that was going to be the case. It was always going to be like this.
I've seen Arsenal play very good football under Mikel Arteta.
No.
I have seen
that's not the point. A game like this against a team like Chelsea and a team like Chelsea against a team like Arsenal away from home, it was always going to be like this. I don't know why people seem surprised.
I'm not surprised to say I'm just a little disappointed, and I might be a little bit concerned as well, because when I was thinking about the episodes that kind of ended up going Arsenal's way, there's another one which I was surprised they didn't talk about more, was the William Saliba on João Pedro. To me, that's
Which one?
the one where he's almost at the byline, and he basically manhandles him out. That to me seemed pretty clear cut.
Well, like for a red card, straight red,
or a penalty, more like.
Oh, in the box.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember this.
But between the David Raya, again, it to make some saves, and we talked about it. I said it earlier in the season. I think it was that ridiculous save he made off of Mohamed Salah. I think in September, where I said, wow, this could be the difference between Arsenal winning the title, not knowing it's going to happen later. We're talking about this off air. When your keeper has to make as many big saves, either you're not having a good day or your opponent are having a very good day.
Yeah.
But those are also episodes. In the same way, the Neto red card, I think, is an episode. I don't expect Neto, who, he's not that old, but by Chelsea standards, he's ancient, he's venerable. Bro, did you not notice that you just got booked and you make a tackle like that?
And that thing about him not knowing is not true, because when you see the first yellow given, he's right in front of him. He sees the yellow card. So
that makes it worse.
He cannot not know that he's on the yellow.
That makes it worse, right?
Yeah, but I don't know where that thing about him not knowing that he was on the booking.
Well, I was making a joke. Why did people suggest
that
he didn't realize?
That was yesterday. We talked about it on the FC show as well. Yeah, that was it. And then he says, "This is my first foul." He says to the referee for the second yellow, it doesn't matter if it's your first or your 10th or your 20th. It's actually, that was his second foul. So I know 2 fouls is not too many, and you took 2 yellows. The first one for dissent, so arguably not for a foul. But a foul like this, whether it's your first one or your 10th one or your 100th one, is a yellow anyway, regardless of who you are, what kind of game, what kind of time it is in the game. This is it. You should have known that. It was silly and stupid from him. And it's the 9th red card for Chelsea in all competitions this season, 7 in the Premier League. It's not acceptable.
So those 7 red cards for Chelsea. There's 5 teams ahead of Chelsea in the table. Combined, those 5 teams have less than half as many red cards as Chelsea.
And they cost 2 points, because you can get sent off and it's a red card for your team, but you were winning and you still win. Yeah. Fair. But when you are winning and you end up not winning after the red card, this is where it's a massive, massive problem.
That said, post-red card, and Arteta said he was disappointed about this after. I looked at the second half stats, and Chelsea still have most of the possession. You're playing 11 against 10 for 20 minutes plus injury time. And I'm sorry, you can, again, we can say Arsenal were mishitting passes and stuff, but those are good Arsenal players that are out there. I can't remember if Hincapie came off or stuff, but when I look at this and I say, other than Hincapie and Gabriel, to some degree, not that they're bad, but everybody else should be really comfortable on the ball. Everybody else was out there, right?
Yeah.
Gyökeres was out at that point.
Yeah.
How do you not keep the ball against 10 men and make them chase you around?
Yeah, I think Chelsea obviously went for it, and when you take risk like Chelsea did, which led to the Eze could have scored, it's a good save by Sanchez. When you take more risk and you go for it, and I think there's also probably psychologically from an Arsenal point of view, what happened at Wolves and those last minutes, it was super tense. You could feel it. There's that pressure. You know, you need to see the game out and grind it out really and win. And I don't think that's easy to do. There's also some tiredness, obviously, even with, like kind of fresh legs if you want, like Norgard and Havertz. And Martinelli, but it's still, I don't think it's easy, those kind of games to see out. Because again, Chelsea, I think, are a good team. Joao Pedro is such a great player, I think. And so that it was never going to be easy. Even Lavia coming on, the guy hasn't played, he's played like, I don't know, the start of the Karabakh game and nothing since or something like that. And yeah, he brings something. There's a bit more physicality. There's a bit more energy. And you go again. And Caicedo, I mean, I don't know what he's eating for breakfast, but it's unbelievable. And that's why I think it was never going to be again an easy end of the game.
I'm really accepting Lavia as an excuse for Arsenal's last
It's
20
no
minutes.
excuse, but it's not,
Or even an
says it's an excuse.
explanation.
But it's not an explanation. The guy came on and brought energy to this Chelsea team that needed it at that
he's very
time.
well rested. I don't share your excitement about Chelsea. I think
You don't think it was a good game plan?
I'm not no. The game plan was fine. Just the execution. Well,
Who was the better team?
Sorry.
Who was the better team? Who deserved to win? Arsenal.
Probably Chelsea when you factor in the Raya saves but equally, I don't think this was necessarily the kind of performance that he wanted. I thought Andre Santos, again, and then I realized, and we've had this discussion about needing two people. This comes down to, and I'm not blaming Rosinha because he hasn't had time to work with the team, but he's inherited the same poorly put together side that's there before. If on top of that, somebody at Chelsea clearly loves Jorel Hato or is related to him or something, because obviously Cucurella, I'm not a huge fan of. I gotta say, he is orders of magnitude better than Hato and can do much more. And I think his absence made a difference in this game. But when I put this, yes, Caicedo's phenomenal. He always is. When you're relegating Cole Palmer out wide and he has to come inside and find space and he's not fully fit, that takes a big dampener out of the team as well.
I think you're a bit harsh. I think you're harsh on Hato. Saka didn't exist in this game. I think you're harsh on Andre Santos. Arsenal in midfield, which is their strength, even without Odegaard and Eze instead, didn't exist in that midfield. That's why Chelsea had most of the ball, more passes. Yeah, you could look at Sanchez and the risks that he takes, although the passing accuracy from Sanchez on long balls and short balls is the same as Raya. Is Raya a good goalkeeper with the ball at his feet?
Yes.
It's the same passing accuracy yesterday. Exactly the same one. From Raya to Sanchez. So for all the people saying Sanchez can't play with his feet, like on the FC show yesterday, Sanchez this, and I know he messed up.
No, it's because he had that early mess up, and that influences your view of the whole game.
He's passing at time to play long towards Joao Pedro, to play long towards Palmer, to play long towards Enzo. I thought the system asymmetrical, that 4-3-3 worked really well. I think you're a bit harsh. I thought it was a really good game plan from Rosinha, and in the end they didn't win. So I understand if you try something that doesn't win.
I'm not talking about his game plan. I'm talking about his players. I don't.
Yeah, but Andre Santos did the job he was asked to do. Hato, I'm sorry, did the job he was asked to do. There was nothing from Saka in the whole game. And that was his job was keep Saka quiet. He did. I don't know what more you wanted from him. One. Really.
I think philosophically, my difference is, to me, Saka not having a bigger influence on this game has to do with the sort of service he was getting from his teammates and Arteta's game plan more than Hato doing some sort of phenomenal job on him.
Yeah, there were one-on-one situations between Saka and Hato for sure. But then again, Hato is part of the plan that made that midfield from Arsenal underperforming, the ball not getting that well to Trossard or to Saka. That was part of it.
I think a bigger, more impressive, if you want, sort of notch in Rosinha's belt is the fact that this was Sarr's first start. And I know obviously he's worked with him before, but you're being thrown in there.
Yeah.
This is your first game. It's Arsenal away, new teammates. Was he perfect? No, but he kept things together.
Yeah.
You mentioned Robert Sanchez before. I have to ask. So when I saw his reaction, like most people, I mean, you were there. So I guess you must have seen the replay. I don't know if you got to see the replay later or when you got home, but I saw, all right. I'm like, they did it again. They're fouling. They're fouling Sanchez. And I watched the replay. And I'm like, what is your problem?
I don't know. Maybe he thought because he could not see what was behind him and he felt the push. He thought, okay,
He felt the hand on his. No.
He must
Look,
have been an Arsenal player or something.
the hand reaches out, but bro,
It's
you're
comical.
6'5", 200 pounds of muscle. Like
Do you
this isn't
think-
even the Gabriel thing. Like
Yeah. And maybe the problem from Chelsea's defensive set piece, which is a problem. Burnley scored 1, should have scored 2. Arsenal 2 again yesterday, all of that. Maybe it's because more than the structure and how you can defend and all of that, is that he's really, really not good on set pieces. As in, coming out for the ball and stuff. Maybe that's part of the reason.
all right. Okay, so if I did you a Google Gemini summary of what you said, Arsenal weren't great, but that's because Chelsea were good.
Yeah.
So if that's a starting point, what does it mean for the rest of the season? In the sense that looking at Arsenal's schedule, were they still good enough? Do you still feel confident enough about, given that other than the big city game, a lot of the tougher matches they've already played them?
Yeah, they won't in the last 9 games that they have now. There's no teams in the top 6, for example. When City have to go to Chelsea, for example,
Which isn't necessarily a great thing because
No,
you
sure.
you don't want to play teams that are fighting for their lives.
Yeah,
if you're playing
super
West
low
Ham
and low block.
yeah.
Sure. I agree with you on that. But it's still not teams as good as City, Liverpool, Chelsea, all of that. I think, like Nadem always says, it's just about winning right now. And I think Arteta would say that to his players. I think Guardiola would say that to his players. They struggled in that first half at Leeds on Saturday. They found a way of scoring, of winning. The second half was better, but the first half was not good from City. It doesn't matter so much. You go and you win. If you can play well and score 3 by halftime, sure, of course, do it. It's better. But so I think all the nervy endings that we saw yesterday, if you're an Arsenal fans, they will be again at Brighton on Wednesday, undoubtedly. Okay, after that it's FA Cup. Then you go again after that with Champions League and the game. And that's the thing. They are where they want it to be. You want to have the lead. It's 5 points with the game more, but still it's 5 points. You want to be in all the competitions. Great. But that will be exhausting. That will be mentally tiring as well. And you'll have nervy moments, but it's part of the ride.
Saw Inter Milan last season coming within a week of a treble, right where they wanted
Liverpool
to be.
were very
throwing
much
everything
in
away.
for the quadruple too at some point.
Yeah, I take your point about it's all about winning. That's certainly the messaging I think that has to come from a coach to the players. As a coach, though, and performance still matters.
Yeah.
If you have certain
of course.
things, and look, there's more fact. We'll talk about City later, but like when you don't take a shot on goal for the first 40 minutes against Leeds United, despite having 76% of the ball, it's not all about winning.
No.
It's you got to sit down and figure
Yeah.
out what did we do wrong.
Yeah, but you found a way.
So-
they found a way.
But
So,
that's great. You
but that
found-
game, they have forgotten about it, Gab. Like Arteta and Arsenal would
But-
have forgotten about this Chelsea game already.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you want to forget about it. I think you want to learn lessons
Well, I
from
don't-
it. And appreciating that playing Chelsea at home in these circumstances, with also, as you mentioned, the needle that came before in the League Cup and whatever, is a specific set of circumstances.
That's why you move on very quickly from it.
Yeah, but you can't just pretend it's not there and say, haha, we
But
won.
the next game against Brighton will be a completely different. Why? So Chelsea's done. You've won. That's it. They've I don't even think, I might be wrong. And if you know, let me know. There's no video analysis of this game from yesterday between now and the Brighton game. So they won't even look at it again, which is very unusual. But I really think at this stage now, it's about
There's
recovery.
no video analysis.
So you always do video analysis after
Yeah, of course.
a game.
Yeah.
Not in this game. I would be pretty sure there won't be any. You've won. You moved on.
No, I
It's
don't
Brighton
think with
coming
the
up.
players. I would assume Arteta's staff.
No, with the players.
And the match
With the
analysts.
players. With the
right,
players.
but no,
after
but I'm
every
saying
game.
is they may point things out to Arteta and to Rosinha and say, hey, this is what happened here. We might want to do
I
this
took
different.
Arteta with the players.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But,
But that's not fine. They do it after every game. I
No,
can
no,
guarantee
the-
you that not after this game.
Okay, but this doesn't. But Jules, all I'm saying is, it doesn't mean Arteta can't learn anything from
No,
this
no,
game
no,
and
no,
won't
no,
learn.
I know.
I think he has to learn certain things from this game, learn what worked, learn what didn't work, and learn how to approach this the rest of the season. Because I don't think they're going to have too many games like this in this circumstance.
Yeah.
So this idea that it's only about winning at this stage, it's not, you don't want to put too much stuff in the player's head. And like you said, 48 hours between games, whatever. But there are going to be tweaks for every team. You can't. I mean, you can't have this
but
attitude.
that's because of who you're playing next, not because of who you've just played. And that's what I mean. Right now, it's just, and it's really all about, you don't want to play well and drop points, 100%. So playing well, winning, sure, it will help you, no problem. But Brighton, you know exactly what Brighton are going to offer and coming at you, and you have to be ready for that, regardless of who you played before. If you won or you didn't win, it doesn't matter so much. And that's the beauty of it. That's why you want to be there. This is much better than them being 15 points. Well, it's not for them, but for us, as like, you know, analysis-wise and everything, this is great because it's going to be tense, both for City, okay, against Forest at home on Tuesday, maybe not so much, we'll see, but still, and for Arsenal on Wednesday, and then game after game after game. That's I think very exciting.
It is exciting. I still believe that if you play well, you have a greater chance of winning.
Sure, no, of course.
And playing well doesn't necessarily mean playing pretty.
Yeah,
It's having the right game plan and executing it properly.